So probably one of the most popular, most successful promotions that we've ever done here with the Cyclones was back in 2014 when we did our first ever Seinfeld Night. It was the 25th anniversary of the show, so we were all sitting around one day trying to plan for the upcoming season, and we were going through a Newsday special section. It was right around this time of the year where they were doing, these are the anniversaries coming up in pop culture, these are the anniversaries coming up in history, whatever. And we saw that it was the 25th anniversary of Seinfeld on July 5th. And my wheels started going immediately. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, so I wanted to make this into something special. So what a lot of people don't know when you're doing promotions and things, you can't just do, you know, a bobblehead of George Costanza, or you can't just do a bobblehead of Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, you can, you'll probably just get sued. So we try to avoid that at all costs. So we were trying to come up with a unique way to do a night without getting fired and/or cease-and-desist letters from lawyers. So we came up with, well, Keith Hernandez is with the Mets. He's still a broadcaster. He's been here before. He's on the show, is quite memorable as a Mets fan and as a Seinfeld fan. So that's probably a way we could go. So we came up with the Magic Oogie bobblehead and put some other stuff built around it to turn it into a night. So I remember we were trying to come up with, when we were going to put this out, and it was right around this time of the year where it's the Super Bowl, and then there's a little bit of a lull between the Super Bowl and when spring training starts. So we try to get some things out there to try to gain some exposure, because people are looking for stories to write about sports when there's not a whole lot going on. So it was, the week after the Super Bowl, and I decided, Boomer and Carton was the morning show on FAN at the time. They're big Seinfeld fans. I said, I'm going to send them all the information about this and see if they talk about it. So we sent it to them the night before, and I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and put it on our website just in case they did decide to talk about it. So if people wanted to have more information, they could go to our site and get as much info as they could. And went back to bed after I posted it, didn't think twice about it. I woke up and my phone had literally 100 text messages and had missed calls galore. And I was concerned that there was some type of natural disaster that was taking place, or that someone had said on Twitter that I was dead or something like that. But I started to realize that it was, they must have talked about it and it was gaining some exposure. So Boomer and Carton talked about it, then Mike and Mike talked about it on ESPN, and then it was picked up by USA Today, and it was picked up by Sports Illustrated. And by the time I came into the office, my voicemail was jam-packed and my email was jam-packed, and I had about 8 hours worth of work to do as soon as I walked in the door, just answering people that were interested in more information. So it was sort of mind-blowing in terms of how quickly it gained traction and how popular it became, and a show about nothing turned into something. So our first bobblehead was this Keith Hernandez, I'm Keith Hernandez, nice game, pretty boy bobblehead here, where he's sitting on the stool in his acid-washed jeans, I suppose, and his members-only jacket, pointing where the second spitter came from, which, foreshadowing, that was another bobblehead we did down the road with our Roger McDowell second spitter bobblehead for another one of our Seinfeld nights. So it's become something that we're known for. It becomes, I said, over the years, it's become basically a Seinfeld convention with a baseball game going on in the background, where the people are more excited for the other stuff going on than what's actually happening between the lines. And that first year, I don't remember the exact score, but we lost. It was like a football score. We lost 21-3 or something like that. It was terrible, but nobody left. And it was one of those moments where when the game was over, you're standing on the field and you look around and there's still 7,000 people here watching people dance like idiots on the field. And you were like, well, this is something we did right, and this is something that is working, and this is something that's successful, and what sort of minor league baseball is all about. And I remember earlier that day, during the pregame, we were doing some of our contests, and one of the contests was eating a Snickers bar with a fork and knife. and it was hot, and the Snickers were melting, and these guys are eating this stuff, and it's all over their face, and people in the stands are going absolutely berserk. And I said, it is an hour before our game starts, and people are jamming the place. The lines were crazy that day, wrapped around the stadium for the bobbleheads, and people are cheering like this is Game 7 of the World Series for 4 guys eating Snickers with a fork and knife. So that was sort of a mind-melting moment. And then as that game went on, there was people walking around in 8-ball leather jackets. There were people that brought fat heads of the different characters and were passing them around the stands like it was a student section in a college basketball game. It was bonkers. We had people that showed up from Winnipeg to be the first people in line. We had people from 26 states and 5 different countries come here, and it was way bigger than anything we ever thought, and probably the biggest thing that we've ever done here, I think.